Are you looking to sell on Etsy but you're not sure what you can sell? Or are you already selling but not sure if a new line you're thinking of is actually right to sell on Etsy? Let's find out what things you can and can't sell on Etsy. Hi, I'm Pam Duthie and I'm here to help you craft your career with creative marketing and artistic inspiration. And it's a Monday, so today's an Etsy Tips Day. Every Monday I make videos just like these, so if this is something you're interested in, don't forget, come back every Monday. So there seems to be a whole lot of confusion and misconceptions about things you can and cannot sell on Etsy. So just a quick quiz before we get started. If you can leave a comment in the comments below, what items do you think you wouldn't be allowed to sell on Etsy? So if you just pause the video, stick your answer down below and we can find out if you're right or if you've had some ideas that I didn't have. So Etsy does have some clear but very basic rules of what you can sell on Etsy. Simply put, it has to be vintage, handmade or craft supply. But this leaves a whole lot of grey areas, so let's talk about what all these things are. So let's start with craft supply. The simplest one, this is what people can purchase that they can go on and then make their own item with. This can be handmade, vintage, or even things you're reselling that are manufactured by someone else. It also includes party supplies. Vintage, again, the rules for this are very simple. It's an item that's over 20 years old is considered vintage. And handmade gets a little more confusing. It has to be something that's either made or designed by yourself. So what this means, obviously if something's made by you, then you are making the item. This could be something you've made from a pattern somewhere else or a tutorial, all sorts of things, but you have to physically made it. And designed means you have physically designed the idea of the item, you've drawn it out, you've come up with the idea, and you're sending it on to a second party to manufacture it. Now, although you can have shop members in your shop and you have to disclose who they are already, you have to be involved in every single item that you either make or design it yourself. Other people can help, but it has to be your work. And another thing Etsy are really clear about here is the photographs have to be your own. Now this doesn't mean that you have to take the photographs. You could hire a professional photographer to take the photographs, but you have to own the photographs and they must not be being used by someone else. For example, if you are making something based on a pattern, you can't use the stock photographs from the person who made the pattern. You have to use photographs of what you've made from that pattern. Now, although Etsy has these very vague rules, it can also at any time add any other items to prohibited items. And also the basic laws of the country apply. So selling firearms where it's illegal to sell firearms is not going to be allowed. And just because other people sell these items doesn't mean that it's right or allowed by Etsy. It can just mean that they haven't got to taken these items down. There are shops that pop up as resellers and they put up hundreds of stock within a couple of minutes and they try and sell as much as they can as quickly as they can before they get taken down. This doesn't mean that this is the kind of items that Etsy wants. This is against their rules. And even if your items fit in these categories and you think you're okay, there's also other things to consider. Laws for any crafter or artist selling things, local laws, nationwide laws and worldwide laws. For example, if you're selling food stuff, you have to make sure that you're following your local food hygiene laws. But the biggest place where people mess up with their ideas of what they can sell is copyright trademark infringements. I'll use Disney for an example because they're a massive one that people think they can use Disney ideas and characters in their work, and most of the time you can't. An exception to this is if you actually have a license from Disney to sell and make Disney products, then you're good to go. But I would say 90% of the people on Etsy selling these Disney products do not have this license, and the items will get taken down. Every now and again Disney does a search around Etsy, searches for these things, and your shop will get copyright infringement. Your shop will get into trouble, and this not only could it eventually mean that you'll lose selling privileges, but also in the short term, any kind of copyright strikes against your site drops you down in the search. It makes your shop less likely to appear in search and to be pushed by Etsy because your practices are not as good as another shop. So Disney or any trademark, copyrighted or patented type products that you can't be looking at include things like Drawings and sculptures. Fan art is okay for your own personal use, but you can't sell it. Phrases. You can't use identifiable terms that people will know was, for example, from a Disney film. This also includes plenty of other phrases that individuals might have trademarked. And this might be phrases that are in common use today and you want to include them on a mug or a t-shirt, but this is not your personal work. You haven't came up with them, so they're not yours to use, and quite often you could get in trouble for this. Colour combinations. You want to make a range of scarves and hats in Harry Potter house colours? If you're obviously making something to ride off the popularity of someone else's work, this is not okay. Items using patterned material that you have legally bought. For example, if you buy some Disney themed material to make a dress, this is for your private use only. You can't make a dress and then sell it to somebody else. Now this is different for different companies, but certainly with Disney and many others, they do not allow a kind of angel policy where you can use their products to make other products to sell. One slight almost exemption to this is if say the Disney film was made from literature that's over a certain age, then the copyright on the written work is passed and you can use things that are inspired by the book but not inspired by the film. And a lot of these things apply not just to big companies but also to the small seller. You can't just browse Etsy or Pinterest, see someone else's idea, go, I can make that and make it to sell. It's not your idea. Even if this means you're making things differently, for example, using other people's photographs and editing them in clever ways, using their images and characters in a different way to say make a stamp or make a sculpture or make a toy based on someone else's work, this is not okay. Or again, using phrases that they have used in their work. If you see a t-shirt that has the funniest phrase in the world in it, and then you go ahead and make a t-shirt with the exact same phrase, even if it looks a bit different, the other person got there first. That's not your work, you can't use it, and they can come after you and take it down. A kind of exemption to this that some people don't know about and use to bully other sellers is a pattern. If you purchase a knitting pattern or a dressmaking pattern, the copyright on the pattern is for the written pattern, not for the final product. So for example, if you knit a pair of socks from a pattern, the socks are your product. You can sell them. You cannot resell the pattern. Now Etsy is rather vague about what they consider handmade. It is true. But basically, just so long as you are doing something original to the item, so you could purchase a t-shirt and just so long as you print, embroider, distress, change it in some way, then it is now considered handmade. But be careful, if you're inspired by or directly ripping off someone else that you saw, it's not your work. And although your listing might be up for a while, although it might be your bestseller, if it's not your work, then it's not your right to sell it, and someday it could get taken down and this could hurt your shop. So make sure that everything you make is your work. It's inspired by you, or you have the rights to make it. I thought to make this video because in the last few weeks there's been lots of people giving out not so great advice, and you always want to be protecting your back and making sure that your shop's right. I've seen really big Etsy advice people telling folks that things like selling watches is okay on Etsy. It's not. Unless the watch is vintage or you have done something. For example, if you use a watch and change the strap and make your own strap for it, that's perfectly okay. If you just purchase cheap watches from China and try and sell them on, not okay. So no matter what you see or what you hear, Etsy is handmade, vintage and craft supplies. That's it. The other shops are incorrect. Now don't waste your time stressing. Some people search Etsy already to find shops to basically annoy themselves with and spend forever reporting and getting angry about it. If you come across someone by accident and you feel that really they shouldn't be there, you can absolutely report them to Etsy, and when Etsy get round to it, the shop will get taken down. If you feel that someone's stolen your ideas, then again, report them for that. But most of the time, spend your energies on making your own original artwork, crafts, supplies, finding the best vintage. Put all your energy into making your shop the best that you can, and you'll do great. Don't worry about everyone else. So I hope that helped. Don't forget, click on my wee face to subscribe, give us a wee thumbs up, and check this video that YouTube thinks you might want to watch. Thank you so much for joining me. See you next Monday.